the channel, man. Today we're gonna be installing an anti-roll bar on the Blazer. So an anti-roll bar is exactly that. It's supposed to help the vehicle not roll. It's really important in drag racing to be able to keep your car going straight, and this is going to help tremendously with that. Currently, I have a sway bar on the front of the Blazer that really I should be taking off. It limits travel. I tried doing so once and it turned that thing into a boat. Man, like it was just whoa whenever you turn, and yeah, I had to put it back on. Is because I don't have anything on the rear. So installing the anti-roll bar on the rear, hopefully we'll be able to get that sway bar off the front. Ooh, baby.
I know what's wrong with it.
What'd you think? It's gonna be hard to find somewhere to mount that thing, dude.
You're gonna have to mount it on the rear end.
No, I don't. I want to figure out a way to not mount it on the rear end if I can. Long story short, I just kind of like glanced at it underneath there, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude. I don't know where it is I'm gonna fit this thing, but we gotta figure something out.
And you're probably like, oh, it's gonna be an easy thing, just a real quick thing.
No, I knew it wasn't gonna be. Because looking at it, I can't even just simply remove my gas tank and have room, because there's a cross member that's like right in front of the gas tank, which is right behind the rear end where it is I'd want to mount this. I don't know. I'm gonna get this thing jacked up. We'll get a better look at it. It's it ain't gonna be easy, but anything worth doing ain't ever easy, right? The fuck?
I like an old man. Ugh.
An old woman. Ugh, custom tire chocks. Custom. What the? Yeah, buddy, get underneath here. You can really see it's pretty freaking tight. So I would really like to mount that thing like right here where this damn cross member is at, but obviously that's not gonna happen because there's a cross member there. So I guess it is possible to go in front of the rear axle, but that looks like it's gonna be pretty damn difficult as well. Oh my god, dude, I don't know. Jesus Christ. There's this GTO that lives around the corner over here that's just, it doesn't have a hood on it, and it's like straight header, and it's obnoxious as hell. Some young kid, he just constantly freaking revving. It's different whenever you're fast. It's different whenever you're a fast guy. But that guy is just a toy. Slow guy shit. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do underneath here. Good frickin' lord. Another option is to actually attach the anti-roll bar to the rear end, and then you have the arms extend up to the body somewhere, but I don't know. I don't even see the possibility for that, bro. It's pretty freaking tight back here. All right, so this video is kind of slow starting off, and I apologize for that. I'm just trying to figure out exactly a game plan of what it is I'm gonna do here, because I was expecting this to be somewhat of a simple install, in which realistically it is. Now, this is a universal kit. So basically you can make this work on just about any vehicle that you're able to add an anti-roll bar to, you know? It's just the problem right now with the Blazer is there's a lot going on down there, and in order to make the room to install something like this, it's going to require me to kind of full send right now. So for the most part, the entire fuel system, well, the gas tank and the lines and stuff need to be removed. Well, I need to remove the gas tank, and I need to kind of pull my lines and get them over out of the way. Get anything flammable out of the way, right? Because I'm gonna have to do some cutting down there, and we are most certainly gonna have to do some welding, because this is a weld-in kit. It's required. So I kind of drew a picture here. Now, this is a really difficult picture to try to draw, right? So this dotted line kind of represents my wheel well, and this is the back of the Blazer. That big like lard of a lump right there, that is my gas tank. There is a cross member directly behind my gas tank, directly in front of my gas tank. That's what those squares are. And that thing going across the bottom, that is the strap that holds my gas tank in. This circle is to represent my rear end, so the rear axle. Where I need to put the bar that is going to mount to is basically where this cross member is at. So what I would need to do is completely remove the gas tank, remove the straps, get everything out of the way. I need to cut that cross member out, and then I need to weld in our pipe that is going to attach to. It's not that pipe. That's the actual anti-roll bar. We need to weld in a pipe that this is going to attach to, which will make sense later. So welding that pipe in replacement of that cross member, then we'll be able to make ourselves the area to mount this, and that is what these little brackets right here are for. They'll mount onto that pipe, so then we are able to bolt this on there. This is what is going to hold our anti-roll bar. But when doing so, I'm also going to have to position that pipe in a way that I'm able to put some tabs off of it for our hanger right here that holds our gas tank. So I'm gonna have to use that as dual purpose. It's not only going to be a mount for the anti-roll bar, it would also have to be the mounting point for the front of that hanger for our gas tank. If, of course, I'm gonna keep the stock tank down there. It's gonna be a little difficult, you know, it's gonna require some planning and stuff. So for the time being, I'm gonna start tearing it apart. I want this installed. This is one of those kind of moments you either need a full send and get into it, or, you know, tuck tail and run away. And I want to get into it. I want to install this damn thing. This is the one thing that I have left to get done on the Blazer. Since you guys got the video to 2,000 likes on khaki, I am gonna need to switch gears and get to working on khaki for you guys after we get this installed. This is gonna be the last thing, which means I am putting my cam install on hold for you guys so we can work on khaki and get it up and running. That was what is going to be next on the Blazer, is the cam install. Hell yeah, gas tank is out. And we only dumped about half of it on the ground, so yeah, now let's go grab the grinder and the welder and just start having at it, right? Alright, this is what we're working with. I've already been down here kind of looking at it again, just staring at it and trying to figure out if there's any other way to do this. And to be straight up with you, man, I don't see any other way. There's no way that I'm gonna fit it in the front of the rear end. Like, there's just not enough room because the body actually, you know, comes down right here. And honestly, there's hardly any room between the rear end and the bottom of the Blazer. In order to make this work, we're gonna have to cut this thing out. Well, not cut, it's actually, if you look right here, it's got like those factory rivets holding everything together. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 on both sides. So basically I just need to grind those out, and this whole thing will come out and make us some room to figure out our next step. Then of course I'm gonna have to put the mounts for my shocks back in somehow. I'm sure we'll figure it out. First thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and get the shocks unbolted, move them out of our way, and then we gotta get those rivets ground off of there. Alright, so now with this big bulky cross member out of our way, our first step that we gotta do to move forward is to make a new cross member. And we are going to be making it out of this, a piece of DOM tubing. So yeah, taking the factory one out is gonna give us a lot more space underneath there in order to actually run our anti-roll bar. So instead of all of this girth going on with this stamped steel, we can just run this nice little simple tubing. So instead of just getting this thing mocked up in there and just welding it directly to the frame, what it is that I'm wanting to do is cut a couple pieces of this 1/4 inch steel, and I'm gonna make basically pieces on the end that will be able to bolt this into the frame. So then that way, whenever we do get this in there, I can get it bolted in, and then as far as our anti-roll bar, I can get things positioned and tack them, and then I can unbolt the whole thing, take it out, and be able to weld everything up here on the table instead of having to weld everything underneath the truck. And then I could just simply bolt it back in. Now, whenever I do bolt it back in, we are probably gonna do a couple welds on each side of it just to be safe, man. But if I ever do want to remove that, it'll just be a couple of welds I need to cut, unbolt it, and then I can take the whole damn thing out. And you guys know how I love to draw pictures. So these little C's right here, that's gonna represent our frame rails. And this is what it is I'm referring to. We're gonna make ourselves a 1/4 inch plate that will fit inside of the frame rail on both sides, and then we're going to span our tubing from one plate to the other, and then that will get all welded together, and then that thing as a whole will bolt in. Look at that, dude. So much more room. So we just have that bar running across now, and it's going to replace that damn cross member we took out. Of course, I just have it sitting there. I need to figure out exactly where I want those plates to be, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this frame is not symmetrical from left and right. This side sits up a little bit higher. This side sits down lower. You're going to have to mount this pipe where it's sitting up higher on the frame on this side, and it's going to be sitting lower on the frame on this side, just because it's not symmetrical. I don't know why they did that from the factory, dude. The only reason why I could see is the fuel filler runs through here. I don't know if they completely threw the frame all off like that just to have the fuel filler run through there, but that's annoying. Yeah, now I need to cut those plates and figure out exactly how this thing's going to get mounted in here and get it lined up and centered and right where it's gonna be, and then we can move forward with mounting the anti-roll bar to it. All right, so I had all this mocked up, and yeah, it looked really cool. So all these bars, the brackets, all that stuff has to be welded together, because you can choose the length of this and all that, so you have to weld it together yourself. And the bar also has to be, the brackets have to be welded on as well. So that's the reason why they do that, is because you're already going to have to weld it. You may as well have some adjustability in all this stuff and where you want to place it. So they leave that for you to weld up yourself. Anyhow, like I said, I had all of that mocked up with this bar inside of here, and I marked some spots on the frame because I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want it placed. That first mark is where the cross member replacement bar was at, and then the second mark is where the anti-roll bar would have been sitting. But then I went and grabbed one of my stock gas tank hangers and realized, when I just kind of held it up here, that yeah, both of those bars would be inside of my gas tank. So now, if I can, I would really like to be able to just finish the anti-roll bar and put my fuel system back together. And then the Blazer will once again be drivable. If not, if I'm gonna have to upgrade or do a fuel cell or something, then I'm just gonna have to get this finished, and then I'll have to start shopping around for a fuel cell or figuring out how I'm gonna alter the stock one. But I think it would be really cool to get the anti-roll bar in there and still be able to utilize the factory gas tank and be able to just put the truck back together the way it was. Because if you guys remember, I do want to upgrade the fuel system. I want to run a inline pump, and I want to run a inline from the tank all the way to the fuel rail and get rid of all the stuff that I have going on down here right now. But that is still utilizing the factory tank. I just want to add a sump onto the factory tank because I think more than anything, it's the best design, because I already have, you know, hangers. There's already bolting points where there was. If I can mimic that with our new cross member that we're building, I think that would be really dope, because it would just be cool, because then I still have the stock tank and I have an anti-roll bar in there. I don't know, but it might be too much to ask. Who freaking knows? Because that is kind of a relatively large tank for what it is we are trying to do back here. I did have Braven's tank out here, his fuel cell that he had in the back of his truck, because he's going to be getting a different one for his truck, seeing if I can somehow make this work, which it's an option, you know, but I don't really like it. For one, this fills at the top, so I'd have to block this off. I'd have to take this out, block it off. I'd have to get some way to attach a neck coming out here to run to my stock filler neck, because I don't want to I don't want to make it a pain in the ass to put gas in the son of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? I want to have my gas door, and I want that to be where it is I put gas in. Like, I don't want to have to be popping the rear hatch and unscrewing a lid, and you know, I don't want to do all that with this. So I don't know, it's an option, but we would definitely have to alter it in ways. And to me, it's like I may as well just get a new one to start with rather than dealing with this old thing. But anyhow, after my long explanation, I have the stock tank down here, and Jessica just came out and helped me empty it into my gas cans so that I can easily get it up here. And I'm gonna try to get it into position with the hangers bolted on the one side, then try to kind of see where it is that bar needs to be for me to be able to make new little attachment points for the front of the hangers. So then we would then utilize the factory tank, you know what I'm saying? And then at that point, see if where the bar is placed at that point, if there's going to be enough room for the anti-roll bar. It's a whole ass process whenever this bar that we're adding is going to have multiple duties. It's got to utilize an area to mount my shocks, to mount the anti-roll bar, and a place to bolt the freaking hangers for the gas tank, dude. So there's a whole lot of figuring to it, but it'll be pretty dope whenever we get it done. Now I lost my nuts. Found my nuts. All right, tank's in, hangers are bolted in the front, and then, well, in the back, I should say. You come to the front side, and you can see where I have that bar and where our hangers are at, where they need a bolt. So that right there is about where the bar needs to be. And if you look over here on the frame, this was the mark where I had that bar. This was the mark where I had the anti-roll bar. So yeah, that was very much so not gonna work. So I'm glad that I did this. Now I can actually lift the gas tank, and what I think I'm gonna do is actually make the gas tank bolt just slightly higher in the front than what it did before. And that will give, whenever we do put a sump on this, that will give it more of a downwards travel towards the sump and have less chances of it sloshing around, because right now there's a basket right in the center of this thing where the fuel pump sits. So you want the gas tank to be more level. Whenever we put a sump back here on the back, it's going to be better for it to be at a little bit of an angle back, you know. Anyhow, yeah, now I'm going to go ahead and mark some more stuff and do some more figuring out. All right, so these are the brackets that's going to be for mounting our anti-roll bar. I need to take like a half a moon out of this thing so that it'll slide over this pipe, because we have to weld it to it. I do have a hole saw that is the exact diameter of our tubing. So what it is I'm going to do, because it'd be really hard to just cut a half a moon out, I drilled a hole in this plate. Now I'll figure out exactly where I want our little half moon to be on both sides, and then I'll clamp these down, and then that will give our hole saw a pilot hole to mow through all 3 pieces, because I also, once these cut, I'll move those out of the way. Then I also need to cut a hole in this, because this is going to be our brackets for mounting that to the frame. I'm going to do a half a moon so that there'll be a bracket just sticking out on one side. I'll explain that later. Alright, so I got another piece of tubing here, and this is the easiest way to get a nice straight line across your tube, because we got these brackets made and I need to mount them exactly opposite of one another. Bang, bang. So I don't need that for like a center line or anything like that, but what I'm going to end up doing is mounting one on one side, and then on the opposite side I gotta mount it like this, because whenever we get down there to get it in between the frame rails, like this is the exact size of in between the frame rails, and you can't just slide it in, you gotta go in at an angle. So if I was to make one of these plates that sticks out on both sides, we would have never been able to get it in there. So I have to stagger them so that whenever I stagger it, I'm capable of getting it in and then turning it straight, if that makes sense. You know, Braden's got all my welding stuff out back, so I gotta go out there and interrupt him. We gotta weld these guys on, and then we can get in there, mark the holes, and bolt this in place, and then start figuring out where our anti-roll bar is gonna sit. Well, check. And because of the nature of the design in the pipe, of the staggered bracket nature of the pipe, we are capable of putting it in sideways like so, and still getting it within the dimensions of the frame. Yeah, buddy. All right. The hardest part about this entire thing is going to be trying to figure out how to get this thing square and straight and even and all that, because there's really nothing to measure off of. I have 2 body mounts here. So there's a body mount right there and a body mount right there that I assume are on the same side as one another and on the same plane as one another. Like, it doesn't visually look like one is like lower than the other. The fact that the frame is not the same on both sides really throws me off. But we gotta figure out some kind of way to get this thing in here centered. Well, not centered, but straight and square and all that stuff. Don't you know? Don't you know? Alright, this took a lot of double checking and triple checking, and good lord, my head freaking hurts now. But so The bar, from the bar to the center of that body mount bolt right there is exactly 4 1/4 on both sides. So that's the only like relatively close place that I have to measure from. And then as far as the bar being like, I guess you could say level, I use the angle finder on this portion of the rear subframe right here, and then I put my little pointer where it was at. It was basically sitting at 0. It's just a hair over to the right from 0. And then I checked put the angle finder on the rear axle. It was at the exact same place. So the rear axle is at the exact same place as this portion of this rear subframe, whatever you call it. And then I just made that bar match those. It should be pretty damn close, damn it. I'm trying to get this as perfect as I possibly can. Anyhow, where'd my marker go? There it is. I've learned that these paint markers work a lot better than Sharpies. Sharpies just aren't reliable, man. You can't rely on a Sharpie. They're always freaking dead. And there, mark it. Bang. Got our holes marked on that side, and I can only get to one side over here. My clamp is over the other hole, so I gotta reposition the clamp. That had to have been the hardest part of the entire thing. Just figuring out where the hell this thing goes. All right, so now I need to just get down there and drill the holes that I just marked. And let me tell you what, boy, I just went to Home Depot earlier. I had to get a new hole saw for cutting those holes that we did because mine was dull. And all of our drill bits here, like, we don't throw them away because they kind of work, but they're mostly dull. I went ahead and I grabbed a little DeWalt kit. This thing was like, things like 20 bucks. You know what I'm saying? Holy crap, it is nice having sharp drill bits. My God. Anyhow, I'm not going to record drilling those. I'm just going to get it done, get that thing bolted up in there, because next I need to figure out tabs for the gas tank. Moving on from that, I need to figure out how to get these things back in there for my shocks. I need to figure out if I'm going to reuse these or make something new. I don't know yet. And once we got the gas tank figured out and my shocks are capable of being bolted back in, then we can move on to the anti-roll bar. Now, obviously, I'll have to cut these bolts down, but yeah, that's where it's bolted up on that side. Coming over here to the driver's side, exact same thing. And I used 2 big 3/8 of an inch bolts on both sides so that they're good and strong. So just so you guys know, I'm gonna get everything mocked up in here. I gotta tack weld stuff, and then the bolts are gonna allow me to pull this thing back out so that we can weld it up on the bench. And it'll be a lot easier to get everything welded in. Then whenever I come down here and reinstall it, I'm gonna just put the 2 bolts on the one side, and then I'm gonna try to get in here. I wanna weld this side. So the idea is just to have a weld on one side and it bolted on the other on both ends. If I ever do want to take this out, it'll be relatively easy. I just have one weld I have to cut through, rather than having to cut all the way around, you know what I'm saying? Anyhow, there are the bolts on the other side. Hell yeah, came out good. It's already nice and strong. That's before even welding it in, but moving on. Raven! Interruption, my friend. I'm here to interrupt you. It doesn't even matter. Braven's not even recording anyhow.
Huh?
Why aren't you ever recording when you're working? You only record when you're talking. I'm here to make a mess and a whole lot of noise, and it sounds to me like you already have the grinder set up, so
well,
I need that.
I need the plugs like a weld.
You need a plug?
You may need to run a different extension.
No, I just need to cut that off.
That's a lot of,
and
that's
that
a
off.
lot of time. I could have the whole plate welded in by then.
I can't hear you. Jessica says that when she's editing, you're too soft-spoken. You didn't say that?
No. When he's talking on your videos, it's hard to hear.
Oh, yeah.
When he's talking on
Well,
his
yeah,
own,
because
it's
the
fine.
Because I'm
mic
over here
the mic is
maxing my mic
recovering.
out. Yeah, the mic is recovering
off
from
of
me.
You talking. So I'm talking normal, and he's like, yeah! It's like, okay.
You know, to be
clearly-
straight up with you guys, I saw, when I first started out on YouTube, I forget who it was, but it was a YouTuber that was like, it was like a big YouTuber that said that they gave the advice that whenever you're recording video, that you have to have really high energy, because as it comes across to you guys on the other side of the video, the energy is always down. You know what I mean? So if you're talking like normal, like right here, like this is good energy for you and me, but whenever it comes to video, it doesn't come across like that. The energy is a lot lower. So here in person, whenever I'm always like, yeah man, now we gotta get this all welded up, and everybody around me is like jumping, like, ah, why is he screaming? It actually comes across normal on the video. You know, like on the video, it's like it's high energy, but in person, no, in video it's like normal energy, but in person it seems like high energy, and your normal energy seems like extremely low energy. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What else makes sense is the camera's trying to recover from your energy level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the mic on the camera, like right now, through me talking, if it picked up me, like the volume that it's picking me up talking, if you were to whack something with a hammer in the background, you wouldn't be able to hear me for a few seconds. You gotta let the mic recover, and then the volume of my voice would come back in. That's what he's referring to. So I'm so loud that the mic is, I'm peaking the mic out with my voice to where it doesn't have time to recover to hear what it is he is saying.
But I hear you guys when you're actually talking, and it doesn't sound like that. But yeah, he cancels you out.
Behind the scenes bullshit. I need to cut these guys off of the stock cross member majigger, because I gotta put those back in there. Well, I need to get them in there and see if I can make the stock ones work, and if not, then I need to figure out and make something new. I gotta reinvent the wheel around here, like Braven's doing.
Yes, you know, it sucks being one of the first.
One of the first?
Sucks being one of the first, man. They don't have bolts and stuff for me, dog.
They don't have bolt-in stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I could be like an S10, you know.
Dude, they don't have bolt-in stuff
You
for an
can buy
S10.
everything for an S10.
You can't
You
buy
a fucking tube chassis S10.
You chose the Colorado
You go,
life.
yeah, I know. It's the
Yeah, I
best
know.
life. But damn, this stuff sucks.
No, he actually didn't choose the Colorado life.
The Colorado.
You know,
life chose
you
him.
guys want to know where the Colorado came from?
Colorado.
Because I liked Colorados.
100%. I
And
didn't
you-
even know about them.
Do you know why I liked Colorados?
Because they're different than S10s.
No, because of Tommy F. Yeah, and Ricer Miata. They're over there V8 swapping their Colorados, and they were sick as f. I was like, damn, I need to get me a Colorado.
And then he told me about it, and then I made it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Now
saying?
you're making it happen.
Yeah,
So
make
I'm
it
glad.
happen.
But there's also a point where that one guy, what's his name, Manny? There's also a point where one of Junior's friends pulled up over here inside of an S10, did a little burnout, and drove off, and I was sitting there like, dang, I want to get me an S10 like that one day. And then I got one, and now here it is in pieces.
Should have just left it running as just a parts pickup.
Dude, I know, it would still be
It
running.
would still be running. That thing was fucking solid.
Me and your dad talk
I
about
know.
that all the time.
It was. I hated it having such a small engine in it with that gangster ass hood that I put on it. So I was like, I gotta take it apart.
Now you even got the hood.
Yeah, I know. I ain't got nothing.
You ain't got nothing.
I'm gonna get on it one day. 2030.
Amen.
Coming out 2030, boy.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, you thought you were the loudest one in the backyard, huh? Oh, it's my knee. I need my knee.
Fucker.
Put it on the ground.
The ground is out of the camera angle.
Move the camera.
No. I'd rather struggle. There's one. Well, these damn things are not gonna work. These are not gonna work at all. So, we have to make a new one, in which I've already made up a template. This right here will work. It'll work very well. It's just, I now need to fabricate this. So I need to get 2 of these damn things made up, and then we'll be able to mount our shocks. Good thing is it's gonna look really cool, you know? And it should probably be stronger than these, being that it's gonna be made out of freaking 1/4 inch, right? So I found a piece of 1/8 inch out there that I'll be able to hopefully make work. I think there should be enough material right here to make both of them. I'd much rather have to cut all this out of 1/8 inch than have to cut it all out of 1/4 inch. Of course, another dead Sharpie. God damn it. Alright, so what I'm doing now, I know a lot of you guys, at least a few of you already know exactly what I'm doing, but as you cut these shapes out, it's really hard to get them identical. You know, like these 2 pieces were way off, but I went ahead and I have the scrap piece of pipe that I had to cut off from that piece we have under there, and I lined up that portion. I want that obviously to be the same on both sides. I lined that up and I got these as square with one another as I possibly could, and then I clamped them into the vise. And then you just take the soft disc grinder and you just plane the side until whatever side you have exposed until they are the same. And then you have to not let it move. That's why I had them clamped together. Then I clamped it and then loosen the vise, flip it over, and then tighten it back into the vise, and then do the same all the way around, and what you end up with is 2 identical pieces. You know what I'm saying? So those are exactly the same, and I did that same thing with all 4 of these. Got them all exactly the same, identical. 'Cause man, these were definitely off. So now I'm doing it with the actual main plate here, and I don't know if the camera will be able to see this, but yeah, do you see how much those are off? I've already done this side over here, so this side is nice and straight, and then now I'm going to do this top portion and get it even, and then with it clamped together, I'll loosen the vise, flip it over, and I'll do this side as well. You can see how much that is off. That's way freaking off. But I got the bottom lined up, and I made sure that this line where I have to bend both of them, I have that line between the 2, I have them lined up with one another, so that whenever we go to weld all this together, I want them to be as identical as possible left to right. I don't know how crucial that is going to be. It's a shock mount, so that is suspension. I would assume that it's pretty important for everything to be as symmetrical left to right as possible, you know? Anyhow, yeah, gonna get this finished up, and then we need to bend this, and then we start welding everything together. I gotta go ahead and grind all that primer off that I put on there. Well, I gotta get it prepped and ready for welding. Get all the rust knocked off on this side and all the primer I put on there. That primer that I put on the sheet before we started cutting, that was just so that it was gonna be easier for me to make my marks with the Sharpie, so I'd be able to see it to cut it. But hell yeah, bro, we are almost there, ready to frickin' burn these things in. All right, got these things all welded up. Good Lord. I need to weld more often. You know what I'm saying? It's like I get rusty whenever I haven't done it in a long time. Anyhow, they came out really clean. I think this is going to work out very well. They both fit on my little scrap piece of tube right here. Boink. That's how they're going to sit on the blazer. So now what I need to do is basically get in there. I need to install my shocks with these, you know, and do some measuring and all that kind of stuff. Make sure to get them symmetrical and then tack weld them to that bar down there. And then I need to take the whole bar out with those tack welded to it, bring it up here, then I could weld it all the way around and get it nice and strong. But yeah, dude, came out pretty sick. Good Lord, this has become a very involved little project here. I was just trying to put an anti-roll bar, you know, but this thing has got to hold the anti-roll bar. It's got to hold my gas tank. It's got to hold my freaking shocks. It's got to do a lot of things on the back of the truck. It's actually very important. Anyhow, I basically got all the shock mounts and the gas tank, the hanger mounts all finished up last night. I just kind of zoomed through it. So this morning I can get up and finally just focus on the anti-roll bar. While I had it in there last night, I kind of found what I believe is a good position for the ARB. We're gonna just call it ARB for now on, for the ARB to sit. I am pretty confident that this is gonna be the spot where it's gonna live. But I just have the brackets tacked in. I need to go ahead and get underneath there, and I gotta test fit it and make 100% for sure that's gonna work right there before I fully weld it in. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Once we get the bar actually welded in, the mounting brackets and stuff, then I can go ahead and weld up all the bars. So these have to actually weld to that, but we're gonna cover all that right now whenever we get to it. These bars though, that actually extend down to the rear axle with these brackets, those have to be welded together as well. That's the reason why I have them taped right now, just for mocking up, because you can actually cut the bar on that to whatever length it is that you want. So anyhow, yeah, gonna go ahead and test fit this thing once again. Bro, I've had this thing in and out of there so many times. There it is, all mocked up once again. And yes, we have plenty of room for our anti-roll bar. The arms on it are going to be going forward, and I'm gonna have to weld the tabs on the axle in the front of the axle. Unfortunately, I mean, it would be better if it was in the back, because I think it'd be a lot easier to adjust them if it was back here. But what can you do, man? You can only do with what space you have. And so now we have new shock mounts, in which I got these shock mounts to be a lot higher than what they were before. So now, sitting at ride height, my shock isn't, before my shock was all the way in. It was something like that, sitting at ride height. Now, where I have this at, it's going to have the shock exactly half mast. So I measured this, and it is 9 inches whenever it's whenever it's completely out. So about 4.5 inches is going to be exposed whenever I'm sitting at ride height, which should make the shocks a little bit happier. And then of course now we have a place to bolt our stock fuel tank up, in which I don't know if I'm going to keep a stock fuel tank forever, but at least I have that option. And now we have the anti-roll bar in the front. Yes, sir. That's pretty much it. Now I can pull it out once again. I got to weld those tabs up all the way completely because right now they're just tacked. And then that bar is ready for paint. So I figured out a method on putting these little sleeves inside of here. I knew this was gonna come out like shit because I mean I only have a MIG welder, and let's be honest, I'm still not even the best at MIG welding. So there are, where do they go? These things. These little sleeves have got to go in between the arms. So once you get the arms welded in, then you have these little sleeves that go in between them and you weld those in. So the only place really to weld them is on this side, you know what I'm saying? So what I've done, and which I'll show, I'm gonna weld the other side of this one right now and I'll show you what it looks like. But I think I got it to look pretty decently clean, right? A grinder and paint will make you the welder you ain't. That's the saying, right? So I'm gonna weld this side really quick, and then I'll show you the difference between my MIG welds and the TIG welds that the guy that Braven works with, that has been welding and stuff for him. I'll show you Braven's out there on his arm. Alright, so there's my MIG welds to get those things in there. Which, yes, it's ugly. Is it going to hold them? They will absolutely hold. They're not going to come out of there, but it most certainly is ugly as shit. And I already know that there are some people who can more than likely MIG weld that and make it look a lot nicer than what I can. But check out these TIG welds that the guy at Braven's job did. I should have brought my damn flashlight. Good lord. Can the camera see that? Yeah, so that's with no grinding or anything. Nice, clean little TIG welds, man. Oh my god, that shit looks good. You know, sometimes it sucks whenever you can't make something look good, like you want it to look good. You know what I'm saying? I obviously need more practice, and I would really like to get into TIG welding. Look at these arms. Also, the guy at Braven's job, his co-worker over at Hughes, welded these up for him. Looks freaking amazing. So my welder will actually do MIG and it will also do TIG, but I don't have the TIG gun and everything. So this is actually really cool. This is what Braven got me for Christmas, is the whole TIG gun and all that stuff. So I still need to get, he got me the pedal and he got me the TIG gun and whatever this is called. The leads, the TIG leads, I don't know. So I still need to get another tank, and I have to get the gas that I have to use for TIG welding. But I'm actually really excited about learning how to do that. That will make it to where we are capable of welding aluminum around here also. So anyhow, back to my ugly ass MIG welds. The way that I got it to look like this, because this side looked just as ugly, is obviously grind the bulkiness off the face of it. And then to open the hole up, I used a unibit. So you just run a unibit on the inside to make a nice clean hole and grind all the bulk off the outside, and it makes it look a lot better. Alright, so I got these pieces all painted up. The actual arms I painted black, and then I went ahead and I clear coated this section because I'm not sure if that's gonna rust or not. I'm pretty sure it's gonna rust. It's chromoly. Chromoly rust. I want to protect it from doing that. The ends that go into the bushing, I have those masked off. I didn't put any paint or anything on that. Now we pretty much just need to put it all together, and I still have to weld those brackets onto the rear axle where the arms are going to actually attach. I also, where this bar, where the cross member actually lines up to the frame and it bolts up, I went ahead and I stripped all of the metal down there where it bolts up so that I can weld this down there. I took the paint off right on the opposite ends of where it bolts. So one side is going to bolt, and on the opposite end I'll put a weld right there. And then on this side will bolt, and then I'll put a weld on the opposite side. So so that way this thing will be in there good and strong. I don't have to worry about it moving around. And if I ever do need to take it out to change anything, it's not going to be a pain in the ass. I only have one weld I have to get through, and then from there I can just unbolt it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I love you now, bye-bye. Okay, I love you now, bye-bye. Well, hot damn there, buddy. Would you look at that? So that's at full droop. I went ahead and I moved the jack stands from underneath the axle, put it under the frame so that I can actually get the rear end to droop down. And because I have a relatively good idea where it is I want to put the brackets on the axle with it sitting static ride height. I wanted, you know, you got to be careful of the angle that these guys end up being at, because you don't want you know, to go over a pothole or something and the anti-roll bar be banging into the bottom of the blazer. But then also, whenever you're at full droop, you don't want that to get completely overstretched to where it straightens out, and then it could potentially fold backwards. That would be a bad day, because then you would be bending shit for sure. But yeah, I found a pretty happy medium in between the two. So I need to clean the paint off of the rear end, get it ready for welding these little tabs onto it. And of course the tabs are straight, so I gotta put a little bit of a curve in them so it actually sits flush on the axle tube. And dun dun dun. That's close enough, dude. I actually like that. First try. Yeah, I wish. Got our brackets welded onto the axle. Bang, bang, look at that. I gotta get that fitting off of there, whatever the hell it's called. Give it to me. All right, I need to go on ahead and hit these with some black paint really quick so they don't rust. All right, literally everything is in there. The only thing that we have left to do now is to connect the anti-roll bar to the rear end, is to weld up these bars. That's the reason why I had them taped together temporarily, to make sure the length of them was gonna work. So now I gotta untape them and get this stuff all welded up, bolt it together, and we are finished. Thanks, man. Welcome. Alright, once again, we are sitting on the frame. So I have the truck supported on the frame with jack stands, and I have the jack underneath one side of the rear axle. And as you can see, that thing is sideways as all hell. That's before we put the bars on. Now, and this is with the anti-roll bar installed completely, jacking it up from one side. And we're already lifting off of the frame. Makes a freaking huge difference, and it should definitely help the Blazer stay a lot more straight. Everything is 100% complete, finally. The only thing I really need to do now is throw a weld right there on each end of this bar, like I mentioned earlier that I was gonna do. And I also need to cut those suckers off because they're a little long. Dude, I'm gonna be so pissed if I test fit my wheels and my tire is lined up with that. But worst case scenario, I end up having to just weld both sides of the bar and then just take the bolts out if it does end up becoming a problem. But I also noticed while I was down here that the exhaust hanger that I made for my exhaust, it must have fell out somewhere. It left the chat, man, so my exhaust is just kind of hanging here. I was like, yeah, that's lovely. I went ahead and fabbed up another one really quick out of some 1/4-inch steel this time, so that will slide inside of there and go up inside of the hanger just like that. Bang bang. A little hard to do it one-handed. Yes sir, just like that. So I gotta clean the pipe right there, and I'm gonna go ahead and weld this on there. I don't remember if I welded it on there last time. I'm pretty sure I did, but yeah, hopefully this one lasts. All right, I said screw it, and I turned the bolts around. I actually put 2 new bolts on this one. I left them full length because I cut them off, and I still didn't like how close it was to the tire. I test fit the tire on here. And because I had the washer and the lock washer on this side with the nut, it just stuck out so much further. Now with just the head of the bolt, that is a lot more clearance for the tire. It gets nowhere near the head of the bolt. It was just a little bit too close for comfort. Plus cutting it, it was all jagged and sharp. Now one last thing to do. I don't think I ever mentioned that I had my fuel lines tucked all the way as far front as I could, and I wrapped them with some plastic, zip tied the shit out of them. So I knew I had a lot of welding and cutting.
What's up, buddy?
I tried. Yeah, we have your earbuds in. How's it going out here?
A lot of fun.
Bro, you have got to go shimmy underneath the Blazer and look at that sight, bro. I got the gas tank in. Oh my God. I don't know if you remember. I showed you before I even started. I'm like, how in the hell am I ever gonna fit an roll bar in there? Dude, it's so, no, it's so tight, bro. Like, you just have to look.
God damn.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Dude, it came out so dope. I seriously can't believe that I fit all that in there. I mean, obviously with that stock cross member out. Yeah, that looks sick. I need a flashlight. Baby! Oh, it's right there. Thanks, baby. Stock gas tanks bolted up. Shock mounts. Anti-roll bar.
Oh yeah. You ready to drive it or what?
Well, I gotta hook up the fuel lines over there. That's the last thing I have to do. Put the wheels on.
Are you gonna put the other shocks on or just these ones for now?
These ones for now.
Oh yeah. That's sick.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sheesh. I can't believe all this fit in here, dude.
Yeah, that is surprising.
It's freaking crazy, dude. Oh my God.
It only took a shit ton of work, but
I know. That thing looks straight. Dude, yeah.
It didn't twist it.
No, dude, this thing was solid.
Like not even a little bit.
Solid, bro. It squatted and it went. It didn't peel out as much as it normally does too.
That is. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting that much of a difference.
No, it's a pretty large
huge,
difference.
Bro.
It's a pretty large
Holy
difference.
crap. Like normally I feel.
No,
this
yeah.
wheel come
Usually
up.
you can see that wheel, and it's
Like-
usually sketchy whenever I see you go right here, but no, dude, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was straight.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah. Something so simple, man. So simple. Liking it already or what?
Yeah, bro. That's dope.
Hell yeah.
Anyhow, this thing has a, I'm pretty sure it's official. This thing has a race coming up. You guys have been wanting Honda content, and I have a Honda that actually called me out. So
Let's
they're going to be pretty well matched, so it should be a really good race. You guys will know more in the near future. But yeah, the Blazer has its first race, its first call out. We're gonna go handle that.
We're
You know
gonna
what
handle
I'm
that.
saying?
Yes, sir.
Well, there you have it, guys. Definitely a huge difference. Way more of a difference than what I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, you know, it was going to help with the sway of the truck. Maybe not be as drastic, but good Lord, man. I was just telling Braven, it kind of took the violent feeling out of it. So, low key, I don't even like it, bro. I like the violent feeling, but It's safer and it'll keep your vehicle going a lot more straight. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you're drag racing, that is most certainly an important thing, is to go straight. So anyhow, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys are interested in a anti-roll bar for yourself, not only is it already at a really great price, you guys are getting a huge discount from MXR. A link will be in the description down below, as well as a promotional code, so that you guys can pick one up for cheaper than what I got mine, to tell you the truth. Peace, and I'll see you guys on the next one.